Audience, welcome to Colony Ship, a post-Earth role-playing game. I'm investigating this game at the recommendation of one of my Patreon members, cast members, and my tabletop RPG game master, Grimdark James. This video is also going to be the first time I use a new style of audio editing. Since I do all of my own editing, you'll have to tell me how it sounds. Especially if you listen to my normal work, just let me know with the comparison. Alright, let's jump in here, find out what this game is about. I heard it's like, Barnabas? What shall my name be? My name is Darkness. Yeah. I don't know about all this. I don't really care about this kind of stuff. But let's take a look at this skill list. Normally I pick a very charisma based. Yeah, there we go. Extra experience. Number of followers. Sneaking, never a bad idea. So that's the maximum, huh? Now does boosting the intelligence boost that? No, but it does give me extra. So I probably want enough constitution to trigger. Not happening, huh? Alright, so I'm not going to be very good, but I will be able to bring people along, level up quickly, and I guess people will be glad to see me. Since this is some sort of colony management game, I do like it when people are glad. Oh, you know, I'm not into a lot, but fingerless gloves are going to be where it's at. I don't know about all the rest of that. I don't really care. Okay, 4 tag skills. What does that get me? No, it doesn't seem to give me much. Persuasion, sure. Oh, double learning rate. Yeah, I'll take that. Do a rifle. Party earns plus 20% experience. Followers gain 1 natural. I'm guessing DR is damage resistance. Huh? Yeah, unique deals sounds interesting. The money also sounds like a good idea. I would have liked to get one of these, like captain or fast draw or extra feet every 3 levels, starting at levels. Oh, never mind. That's the one you want. And then when you level up, just take Master Trader. It is the year of our Lord 2754. You will never feel the sun's warmth under a blue sky, never hear the wind in the branches of a tree, and never swim in the ocean because you had the misfortune to be born on the ship. You have never seen Earth, and you'll never see Proxima Centauri either. Your past and future both sacrificed by some dim and nameless ancestor to the greater good of the mission. Starfarer, they called her, a pretty name for a retrofitted interplanetary freighter. She had already been 20 years in service when she was rechristened, showing every minute of it. No one is certain the ship will actually reach its destination, and nobody much cares, since no one alive now will live to see it. Fatalism is the prevailing philosophy of the shipborne. Make the best life you can, and consign all your what-ifs and might-have-beens to the void. So this is a lot like Robert Heinlein, who wrote Starship Troopers, which was made into a movie that's nothing like the book. I like the movie, I also like the book. Robert Heinlein wrote, was it a book or was it just a short story called Orphans in the Sky? That's about the same premise. It's about a guy who is on a colony ship where there's no cryogenics, you stay awake the whole time, and he was part of the generation between the stars. Alright, so the ship was launched by a neo-Christian conglomerate dedicated to establishing a religious colony on a distant world. The original 50,000 passengers, the so-called first generation, were true believers in the mission. They sacrificed whatever lives they had on Earth and demanded strict obedience to the laws of God and the ship from their children. Unfortunately, the generations that followed lacked their forebears' fervent will to sacrifice. Dissatisfaction led to open revolt against the authorities, called the Mutiny, and the mutiny metastasized into civil war. While the mutineers dealt a decisive blow to the old order, they did not eradicate it completely. When the fires died and the smoke finally dissipated, 3 factions emerged from the wreckage of the old order: the Protectors of the Mission, the Brotherhood of Liberty, and the Church of the Elect, each of them promising their own version of the future. Oh, number 1 answer right there. That might have been me when I was in my 20s. But what will my character be like? My character wants to make sure that we get to the far side without dying. Nothing else matters. The mission above all, as it says on the right. I'm going to say rebelling against the ship's authority was a mistake. In fact, you would go on to say, yep, down here. Yep. The ship suffered extensive damage during the Civil War, but remains operational. The hull was breached in several places, and frantic efforts to avoid a meltdown crippled the main reactor. Radiation increased in places to lethal levels, and several areas remain dangerous to this day. When a small percentage of children in the habitat were first born deformed, they were branded mutants and immediately shunned. The young were abandoned, and those whose defects didn't manifest until later were driven out. With the condition of the fusion reactor degrading to dangerous levels, and the number of volunteers for jobs in areas exposed to radiation remaining few, the mutants negotiated a pact with the Covenant, granting them protection from harassment and violence in exchange for their maintenance of the engine and other vital ship systems. Two and 4 sound okay. Oh, 5 is pretty good. Ostracizing fellow humans based on genetic differences is wrong. The place you call home is known as the Pit, and to some more affectionately as the Free City. Calling the towers of containers rising from the depths of the cargo hold a city is a bit of a stretch, and so is the other half of it. With no kind of law or government, freedom mostly means you're free to kill or be killed. On the plus side, housing is cheap, and keeping overhead low is a priority when you have nothing. The real city, a metropolis sprawling across many decks, is called the Habitat. It offers much better living conditions for those who can afford it, but to live there you have to pick a side among factions vying for control. Nobody in the pit gives a damn about their struggles, but like Earth before it, nothing in this world is free. Just keep in mind, you might get more than you sign up for. As far as you're concerned, number 2, some kind of rules are necessary or we'll descend into anarchy. The ship is en route to Proxima B, an Earth-like planet orbiting Proxima Centauri. After launch, a deep space probe transmitted highly detailed images of the surface, which revealed one minor setback. This very habitable world is already inhabited. Since the voyage is estimated to take close to 400 years, it's possible by the time the ship arrives, the colonists will encounter a mature civilization corresponding to Earth's late Middle Ages. If that's the case, oh, number 1, bad. Number 2, also bad. Alright, so not 4. We're here to make our own world. I'd say 3, but the issue is that I'm going to sound very pessimistic, fatalistic, nihilistic, but groups of humans rarely live in harmony without a clash between their ideals, and obviously we will absolutely wipe them out. We have spaceships and guns, and if they are late Middle Ages, they will have no ability. They are almost certainly going to be colonized in a literal sense, but that's unfortunate. I can't believe this role-playing game has already got me down. I haven't even started playing it yet. Number 2 is actually the way things will realistically turn out, if not 1. But I would love for 3 to be true in a real life situation. As inevitability happens in the dark and challenging times, some people turn to God for reassurance, the promise of an end to pain and hunger, or failing an end, at least a purpose. The Church of the Elect rejected both the protectors of the mission and the Brotherhood of Liberty as worldly fools distracted by politics and their own egos. Teaching their adherents that they were chosen by God, the Church frames the journey of the ship as a centuries-long test of faith. We all face a series of difficult trials, yes, but with a very definite end. When the ship arrives at her destination, Judgment Day awaits every citizen. The righteous will be welcomed into the promised land of Proxima B, while the unrepentant will be returned to the hell from which we fled, Earth, to suffer for all eternity. The way you see it, number 2. The Protector's one truth is the mission, and the sole way to ensure successful completion of the mission is to follow the old ways. The ways of the fathers, forefathers, and founding fathers are together the beam upon which the ship travels to our ultimate destination. The mutiny, which through their steadfast and timely intervention was thankfully aborted, was the ultimate betrayal of the old ways, of everyone who had come before, the nullification of every sacrifice and every life dedicated to the mission. Sworn to regain control of the ship, the projectors will subjugate anyone who threatens the mission. Over the last century, they have managed to expand their enclave somewhat, but the Brotherhood is deeply entrenched. To overcome them with violence would result in a massive loss of life, an unfortunate consequence which itself would endanger the mission. The mission is more important than our struggles. The Brotherhood was formed to liberate the people from the shackles of the ship authority. Their first sally, which the fossils of the old world called mutiny, did not completely achieve the same. However, the Brotherhood was successful in establishing themselves as a significant power in the New Order. Unfortunately, the Brotherhood's subsequent attempts to complete their emancipation of the enslaved, wherever they may be, ran into an unexpected obstacle. Not only did the people refuse to cooperate in this noble mission, they often violently resisted, sometimes even chose the Protectors or the Church over their own best interests. The war goes on, but will be fought on different battlefields and with different tactics. A non-military campaign to win over the people through reason and deceit, weakening the enemy from within, is the central pillar of this new strategy. Do not become the monster. I think my character and myself might be leaning in a little bit towards the enlightened centralist. Your beliefs and opinions may change and evolve over the course of the game as you interact with factions, groups, and various individuals. Keep in mind that actions speak much louder than words, and that saying one thing and doing another won't fool people for long. Wow, 17 minutes to get started. You open your eyes to a gray hull metal ceiling, one panel of which flickers yellow, indicating day shift. You overslept, not that it matters. With a grunt, you roll off your stained mattress and open the window to let some fresh air in. Like everything else around here, fresh is relative. The ship does its best to recycle air and water, but cargo holds aren't high on her priority list. You breathe in metal and burning oil, and look up. 4 of the bridge's 6 projectors are still operational, shining dully down on the container towers of Cargo Hold 3, better known as the Pit, a free city. Calling the Pit a city is a bit of a stretch, but so is calling this reddish-brown liquid water. You've read that water is supposed to be clear, and that cities are supposed to be big, but no shipborne has ever seen either. Maybe in another 100 years, water will look and taste like oil, and people will be talking about the good old days when it was the color of rust and tasted refreshingly bitter and tangy. That's the kind of optimism that keeps you going. The elevator crawls up a groove in the cargo hold's wall like a black steel bug that's worn a path traveling to the bridge and back. It's time to get up there and earn a few credits, but first, you need a drink. I just drank some water. I really just wake up and drink some alcohol? That character is, well... For the last few years, you've been doing odd jobs for Tanner, a local hustler with a nose for making money. He's never tried to screw you over, which is pretty close to being virtuous in this town. Still, there's a first time for everything. Ever since you were a kid, this has been your home. A sprawling heap of vacant cargo containers slowly getting filled up with those who couldn't afford to stay in the habitat, or needed to get away from its bosses and factions. Out here, folk have lived free and died fast, with those who survive earning their keep by either diving into the wreckage of mission control and bringing back valuable relics of the past, figuring out a way to make money off the fools who do the diving. From the day it sprang up like a patch of mold on this rich substrate, the pit has been overshadowed by Jonas Redford, a canny, cagey son of a bitch who planted its first spike. The de facto mayor of a town with no government, Jonas holds court in the Promised Land, the pit's only brothel, and the base of operation for his network of touts, thugs, and whores. But the pit has grown. Jonas's seat at the top has gotten shakier. When the Brotherhood of Freedom threatened to annex the town, concerned citizens banded together and hired the Regulators, a mercenary gang led by Jeremiah Braxton, to keep the Brotherhood out. But now, as Braxton's gunmen swagger under the neon lights, some folks have started wondering whether it's time for the pit to get a little law and order, and whether Braxton might be the right man to wear a sheriff's star. Don't forget your gun. You never know when it might come in handy. Oh, I want that rifle. As a backup weapon, think a utility bar. We want to be able to pop open crates and stuff. If I'm using a knife, I'm pretty much boned. Alright, so let's see how this works. Ah, right click in order to move places. Oh, okay. Now let's take a look around. We see a guy over here. Interesting. So let's open the door and go talk to him. These controls are going to take some getting used to. Another day, eh, darkness? Says Xavier, raising a cup of black blend of chemicals that has passed for coffee aboard the ship for at least a generation. Looks like it. Any big plans? Oh, I'm not going to be able to do that voice for very long. I got a job on a diving cruise, says Xavier, taking another sip. They lost 2 men last week, so they hired me on the spot. Must be my lucky day. Diving? As in diving into mission control rooms. It's like a maze down there. Sealed doors, corridors, entire decks. They cut the power to kill the auto defenses, which didn't make things easier. Now there's a demand for divers who can open the doors the old-fashioned way. Sounds good. Can you give me any pointers? I can show you the basics. The rest is up to you. See this lock over here? Oh, I just leveled up on lock picking. Thanks, Xavier. You're a good pal. Alright. How about this chest? Oh, I picked the lock. Loot all. Okay, so what do I got now? Flashbang. Boots. Oh, those are knee pads for the boots. 9mm hammer. The Piper Jack pistol. 5.56. And 1,000 credits. Okay, now how do I put this? Oh, lockpick 2. Interesting. Aha! 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 Let's make sure those are actually better. Okay. I'm done with this fucking town, says Charlie, his eyes empty and lifeless. 2 years I've been here, and what do I have to show for it? Nothing. What are you gonna do? Go back to the habitat? Guess so, nods Charlie. It doesn't seem so bad now, the habitat. Don't know what I was thinking. Take care, Charlie. Kind of got like a Final Fantasy VII Lite vibe going on. The biorecyclers break all organic matter from wasted dead bodies gathered each morning into simple organic compounds and mineralized nutrients, which the ship turns into end tabs. It's the circle of life. Guessing end tabs are nutrient tabs. This way of using the camera is... ugh, not so good. Where did I go? Yes, keep moving forward. Jericho Moore, at your service, the appraiser says with a quick nod. How may I help you?
Depends on what you do.
With a practice motion, the appraiser conjures two electronic modules. The casings are old and covered with rust and corrosion. The markings that could identify them faded away a long time ago. One of them is a C210, worth 700 credits in the pit, 1200 in the habitat. The other is an L5, common as dirt and just as cheap. You'll be lucky to get 5 credits for it. If you're confident in your ability to tell them apart, you don't need my help. Otherwise,
I don't have anything worth appraising. Yet.
The woman stares blankly, as if lost in thought, while her metal-capped fingers move across the keyboard that isn't there. You can see she's jacked in, with a long translucent cable running from her half-shaved head to one of the machines. Finally, she registers your presence. She unplugs the cable from her head and her eyes come into focus.
Are you a doctor?
I've been trained in the healing protocols, if that's what you're asking, the woman says impatiently, waiting for you to get to the point.
What's that data jack for?
My neural uplink? It's how I run diagnostics. Only the simplest systems have an external interfaces.
Do you have any implants for sale?
On occasion, when the scavs bring me something I can salvage.
What do you mean?
Where do you think the implants come from? We certainly can't make them anymore. She gives you a look of disgust, but whether it's directed at your ignorance, civilization's decline, or the nature of scavenging is anyone's guess. When the scavs show up to trade, they're always telling me they found some dusty old corpse from the ship's launch, as if I can't see the blood on them. Half the time they manage to break the damn thing when cutting it out.
Where could I find one of these dusty old corpses?
In the mission control ruins, if you're desperate enough. Just save some credits for regen when you get back. If you get back. After a moment she adds, McNeil and his crew hit a jackpot on a zero-G deck last month. An anti-riot officer with a sub-squad commander implant and a full suit of subdermal armor. For once they showed some sense and dragged the entire cadaver back to me. If they tried to hack the body up on their own, the tech would have been scrambled for sure.
Can you show me how to extract implants safely?
If you make yourself useful, you can watch me work. Maybe you can learn a thing or two. She walks up to a corpse lying on one of the beds and checks the tag. Motor cortex chip. Dumbaster overclocked it, fried the chip, and half his brain. He points to a patch of blackened skin and burnt hair. Still, there might be something worth keeping. She glances at you. I don't have all day, so get to work, will you? She passes you the saw. Well, I'll be damned. The suppressor's still good. With a quick, hard yank, she pulls an intact piece of electronics from amid the cooked brain and ruined circuitry. She drops it in a jar of disinfectant and slaps you on the back with an unwashed hand. Oddly enough, this practical lesson on field surgery and neural implant has been more educational than you expected.
Anything else I can help you with?
Well, I do have an errand that needs running. A fella by the name of Jimmy Brewster sent word that he has something for me. He owes me 500 creds, so it better be some quality biotech. If it is, bring it here and I'll make it worth your while. If it isn't, do it Jimmy myself when he shows up here.
Where can I find him?
When he's in town. He rents one of the warehouses in Camptown. He's 7, I think.
Can I ask you something else? Can you fix me up? Can I ask you something else?
I don't have high enough steel. I'm not gonna mess with this woman. Super soldiers. Gives you exhaustion when you come out. Okay. The Church of the Elect. Have you come here to find your purpose? The preacher asked by way of welcome. Either the church has fallen on rough times or they deliberately chose a minimalistic design. The only ornamentation is an oversized metal cross welded to the back wall. Two deacons flank the altar, a featureless metal oblong, and look on impassively. The submachine guns cradled in their arms suggest theirs is a militant faith.
What purpose would that be?
Doing the Lord's work, of course. How else would we prove our devotion to the Lord? How else would we end our trials and arrive at our destination?
Is it a fancy way of saying you'd like to hire me to do a job?
You could say that, frowns the preacher. One of my deacons was taken prisoner. I want him back.
Is there more to the story?
I sent him to James McNeil, the preacher says reluctantly. If McNeil and his crew were to pay the church 1/10 of what he makes from the scavenging business, people would take notice. Others would follow his example.
You think shaking him down will make you popular?
It's not a shakedown, the preacher says irritably. We are offering him the spiritual boon of serving the Lord, and potentially more practical support. Such an arrangement would demonstrate that the Lord holds sway even in the darkest zones. Strength is the only language these people will understand.
What happened to your deacon?
McNeil's holding him, a man of God, prisoner. I want him released, the preacher says angrily. I want restitution.
I'll see what I can do.
That doesn't seem likely. I don't think there's much I can do without, killing. And I really my character kinda needs some help to get that one done. Ooh, pick the lock. Oh. A woman is half asleep in an old, worn-out chair, a half-empty bottle of whiskey on a makeshift table in front of her. When you take another step, she opens one eye and glances at you. The Lord giveth, says the woman, and reluctantly opens the other eye, forcing herself awake. How'd you like to make 500 credits for 5 minutes of work?
Why me?
You passed 2 tests, says the woman, reaching for the bottle. First, you picked the lock on my door. To be fair, the lock is shite, but it still takes some skill. Second, you clearly have a certain moral flexibility. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
What do you want me to steal?
A key, grins the woman. How else are we going to get in?
Why steal a key when you can pick the lock?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Just because you can pick this lock, she nods at the door, doesn't mean you can pick any lock. Some locks are way too tricky. Others are hardly locks at all, at least not in the conventional sense.
Why do you need me?
He knows me, so he'd be on guard. That's why I need you.
Who's this mysterious he?
His name's Samson, ex-military by the looks of him. He favors Jonas's establishment, but he's awfully tightly even when he's drunk. My guess is he came into some money, not entirely legal, and decided to disappear. Can't find a better place in the pit, eh? He keeps a low profile and rents a cheap room, but it's all an act. I saw him skulking around the outskirts one day, so I followed him. He led me straight to his stash, but it's locked tighter than a steel drum.
So how do I steal his key?
Easy, let me show you.
Wait right here.
I'm not sure I want to do this job. Do I really want to get started with the criminal lifestyle, especially so early in the game? That's Camp Town. Anything else down that way? Doesn't seem like it. Frank Boswell, gunsmith. There's the Whiskey Jack. Ooh. Probably not safe to approach that. Just kind of getting a feel for how big the map is and what's going on with it. Oh, the promised land. What is this? Honest Abe's General Store, 50% off everything. I probably don't want to get all the way up here. Oh, it is quite close actually. Hello. Being a gunfighter is a quick and easy way to make a living in the pit. All it takes is a gun and some guts. It's also a quick and easy way to wind up dead, but the kind of men drawn to the gun always think they're going to live forever. Evans learned the realities of his new trade the hard way. The first time, Evans got lucky and killed his man as he fumbled his draw. Riding high, Evans called out an old hand who put 3 bullets in his chest and left him for dead. Lucky for Evans, a stranger patched him up and he survived. But today he looks like a man whose luck has just about ran out. Darkness, nods Evans. What brings you to these parts? He asks you. His bolt-action rifle still pointed your way.
I have a job for you.
A job? Evans pretends to think about it for a moment. Truth be told, I've got a job for you too. All you gotta do is stick around and watch my back while I deal with these thugs. You do that for me, I'll do whatever you need, no questions asked. Deal?
What thugs?
Jonas sent some gun thugs to harass Abe. He notes the storekeep. Abe here went to the regulators, but Braxton said he can't spare any men. You and I both know the bastard doesn't want to get involved. So Abe hired me to watch the store, but the son of a bitch didn't say a word about Jonas until I agreed. I'm no coward, but I don't want to go against Jonas alone. He runs this town, for Christ's sakes.
Why did Abe go to the regulators?
Beats me. We all agreed to hire the regulators when the Brotherhood started eyeing the pit and getting ideas. Only reason they're still around, now that the Brotherhood's backed off, is to make sure they don't come back. At any rate, their job is to show that we have some muscle, even if it's a hired muscle, not sort out local trouble.
What does Jonas want from Abe?
Money. What else? His thugs said everyone who does business in the pit has to pay taxes or pack up and go. They told Abe he should pay but he doesn't want to listen to reason. If he wants to die, that's his business. But now I'm gonna go down with him. Oh, ain't nobody paying me. I feel like I'm gonna... The gun thugs show up around noon. A man in his 40s who moves with a slow confidence and a brash young man eager to get himself killed. You got Jonas's money? Demands the kid, talking tough. The older man stays quiet, keeping his eyes on you and Evans. Am I the type of man who ambushes men who are just trying to do their job of shaking people down? I'm willing to talk this out.
What money?
You deaf? Says the kid, spitting on the floor. Jonas's money. He owns the pit. So it's about time you fucking freeloaders started paying your fair share.
It doesn't have to go this way.
And which way's that? Asked the older man softly. You can see he's been counting heads and running odds while the kid's been talking.
You leaving the store in a body bag.
Might not be me, says the older man, smiling. It's not a good smile.
Are you willing to bet your life on it? On what might or might not happen? That's one hell of a gamble, friend.
You saying we leave empty-handed? Scoffs the older... Oh, I thought it was the kid. Scoffs the older man. You have a feeling he wants a way out, a Apparently the kid gets the same impression. What are you talking about, says the kid. It's 2 against 2. Hell, I could kill both of them myself.
And then what? Collecting tax is one thing. Killing folks over it is another. You cross that line, and you'll end up dead sooner than you think.
Have it your way, the older man says tiredly. We're going. The kid tries to protest, but for all his talk, the only thing he shoots is a black look. Got it. I knew I could get through this without violence. I definitely could have bushwhacked them, but that would start... Oh, snap. The door hisses shut behind the gun thugs, and Evans breathes sighs of relief. Then gunfire erupts outside.
What do we do now?
asks Evans, visibly shaken.
Nothing. Why make someone else's problem our own?
It's your call, says Evans. I reckon I'll stick with you until this thing's over.
Welcome aboard.
Oh, he's following me around, so he's part of my cool... Oh, here's Evans. He's a tough bastard. Oh, do I have a reputation? Oh no, that's my reputation. I have a reputation for diplomacy. Ah, interesting. I appear to lean towards atheism. Wow, I have a weird stat sheet. But I'm okay with the mutants, I guess. Evans, huh? What are your strengths? You're perceptive. You're a good shooter. Your melee damage isn't the best, but you got implants. You got great initiative. That's good, that's good. I need somebody better than me. I'm more of a party leader type. For leading parties. So, you're good with a rifle, huh? How about your inventory, Evans, my friend? No, I'm good. Oh, it's just keeping track of what I have in here. Interesting. Okay. Ah. Oh, you did. There was a dialogue where you asked me to speak to you. I don't know how to thank you, Darkness, says Abe, wiping sweat from his forehead. These ruffians, they would have killed me dead. God knows I don't have much, but I'll give you all I can spare and then some. Turns out Abe could only spare 2 boxes of ammo, 50 rounds each, but it's definitely better than nothing.
What are you gonna do now?
Pray for less excitement in my life? What else can I do?
Didn't you move here from the habitat? You could always go back.
Back? Laughs Abe. As bad as the pit is sometimes, the habitat is 10 times worse. The protectors are all about their mission, and every poor bastard that lives in the Enclave has to toe the line whether he likes it or not. They tax you up the wazoo, and then expect you to contribute what little you've got left to the war effort.
The war effort?
For the grand finale, you see. The protectors have been gearing up for war ever since the mutiny. The Brotherhood's been doing the same, of course. If you ask me, neither side wants to fight, but they've been beating their chests for the last 100 years, so they have no choice but to go through with it.
And the church?
Waiting on the sidelines to finish off the winner. It's a smart play. I'll be back in a second. I need to figure out if I can save my game. And then I want to try to steal from you. You managed to distract Abe and grab a handful of 45 rounds from one of the crates. You don't have a problem with that, right, Evans?
What's your deal, Evans? Why did you join me?
Not much of a future standing outside a dry goods store waiting to get shot at.
You see a brighter future down this path?
I hired on with Abe for the same reason you did odd jobs for Tanner. It's the only work a nobody with a gun can get in these parts. But now we've got a chance to make a name for ourselves out here. If I'm gonna die, at least I'm reaching for something. Life is a gamble, sure, but now I've got a stake, something to gain.
Okay. What do you figure to gain?
I'm gonna hire on with one of the big outfits, Evan replies. Not as the point man they put out front to soak up the first assault. I'm gonna be a sergeant, or maybe even a captain. Just gotta put in the work is all.
What do you think about the ship?
What's there to think of? Shrugs Evan. I hope the ship is still on course, otherwise this whole thing is a cosmic scale fool's errand. Maybe one day our descendants will walk under an open sky and breathe fresh air, but we're doomed to live out our lives here. All because our ship for brains ancestors thought leaving Earth was going to solve all their problems.
Why do you say that?
According to the founding fathers, Earth was an overcrowded hellhole and they were forced to flee. But take a look around. Evans gestures broadly at the ship. Was it worse than this?
Maybe. Never underestimate man's ability to create hell on old Earth and the new one.
Now that's depressing, says Evans, looking away. Alright, time to get involved in a gunfight. Rumor has it that Captain Braxton once served a higher power, that in the days before his crisis of faith, he was known as Faithful Gunner Jeremiah Braxton among the Church of the Elect. There's plenty of talk about why he left, but as is often the case, no story is more compelling than the others. Backed up by a few like-minded men and picking up more recruits along the way, Braxton left the church and wound up in the pit, where good fighting men are always in high demand. Around the same time, the Brotherhood had started nosing around, eager to establish a foothold here. Braxton and his regulators offered the good people of the pit their services. After much debate, they were hired to drive the Brotherhood's men out, which was accomplished with brutal efficiency. You see Braxton and two of his men standing next to the body of the gun thugs. "Thank God you're alive," says Braxton, holstering his gun. "When I saw them leaving the store, I assumed the worst."
I thought you didn't want to get involved.
"It's not my fight," says Braxton, "but someone has to step in and protect these people. I have nothing against Jonas, but this time he's gone too far."
What can I do to help?
Quite a lot, actually. If we move against Jonas, he'll claim that the regulators are taking over, and many would side with him. We don't want that, but you're one of them. If you challenge Jonas, people will side with you. Of course, we'll stand with you, but it will be your fight. Ooh, I don't know. The man is just looking to get some taxes for people who work on his land. I mean, problem is I don't know enough to get involved here. You really don't want to knock over the guy who's your boss and the local slumlord on the first day of work. So what do we know? The guy provides protection to some extent to the locals, and he's well liked enough that these guys are afraid to go up against him. That said, he's not the best liked guy, and plenty of people don't like him. Some people like him, some people like not liking him. do I want to take over his place? Not really. Do I want to give this guy a ex-militant? I mean, I definitely don't want to give that guy power. I'll pass. I hope you'll reconsider before it's too late. If you do, come and see me in our headquarters. What are you gonna do? Says Evans. The right thing. We're going to save this town. It's quite a heavy burden you're taking upon yourself, Evans comments dryly. It's a good opportunity to make a name for ourselves. Men like Braxton and Jonas ain't some thugs nobody would shed a tear over. They have friends, and I reckon these friends won't be too pleased to hear about your involvement. Just don't say I didn't warn you. But if you had to take sides, what's that saying? Better the devil you know than the devil you don't, so there's that. Sometimes I wonder whether that devil's gonna let it all go to hell. Jonas did build this town, but that's as far as he's going to take it. He did a good job keeping everyone on their best behavior, at first, back when the pit was more of a camp, but the bigger the town got, the more lawless it became. And Braxton? Braxton? His men do a good job patrolling the decks around the town, but I'm not sure I'd want them patrolling the pit and telling folks what to do. Braxton ends up on top. Who knows how far he'd take that law and order thing. Although probably not as far as the Brotherhood would, so there's that. I don't want to get involved. Can't go in here to get guns. Where do you go to buy guns? Hey, Frank. Looking for anything in particular? Says the storekeeper with an unconvincing smile. His face is unshaven and smudged with oil. I'd like to buy a gun. A wise choice, says the storekeeper, nodding approvingly. What kind of gun do you fancy? Do you have anything automatic? Machine guns? Sure, I do have a few in stock, but keep in mind the bullets aren't free. You better have deep pockets if you want to spray and pray. Different gunsmiths have different ideas on which design is superior, but no matter how you look at it, you still have three main categories. One-handed, a magazine housed in the grip. Range is short and accuracy is nothing to brag about, but it's fast and will give your enemies nightmares in close quarters. At the other end of the spectrum, you've got assault SMGs, which are more like a rifle than a pistol, built for range and accuracy. You need to keep your distance to be effective. The stock makes for better stability, but they're slower to aim and fire. And at mid-range, there are compact SMGs. They don't excel at anything, but they don't have significant drawbacks either. How about a rifle or a shotgun? Where do I start? He looks over his wares carefully. The sawed-off shotgun is a good choice for a novice. You just point it and pull the trigger, but unless you're damn close to the target, you get nothing but a bang and a flash. For better accuracy, try this long arm, harder to handle than the sawed-off. The most accurate gun there is. Then there's this multi-barrel shotgun. Don't worry about the rust. Elbow grease will take care of that. Stopping power is second to none. The range isn't too bad, as long as you remember this isn't a precision weapon. An energy gun would be nice. Storekeeper laughs politely, then stops when you don't join him. We've run out of energy cells a long time ago. The guns aren't much good without the cells, are they? Run out? Why? Well, says the man, scratching his stubble. Mutiny drained the ammunition depots pretty fast, and that was what, 100 years ago? They stocked a ship with weapons to scare off primitives and secure our colony, not to fight a civil war. I'm sure there are a few leftover cells here or there. They're worth a lot of money, and only a fool would use them to charge a gun. Luckily, there are less fancy but still effective alternatives. I take it you can't make more cells. Do I look like a plasma physicist to you? As far as I know, nobody is making energy cells anymore.
What about recharging energy cells?
Of course. 30 years as a gunsmith, and I never once thought of that. He shakes his head at this foolish oversight. Let me just tell the protectors to land the ship, break her down for parts, and fire up the factories. In the meantime, how about you take a look at this fine piece of workmanship? He produces a rusty pipe with an attached grip. Ever heard of the gun that won the West? This is its exact replica, but twice as deadly.
The West was one with a gun you made with scrap metal?
It was indeed, says the man without blinking an eye. But let's save the history lesson for another time.
Do you have anything more sophisticated than pipe guns?
What's wrong with pipe guns? The gunsmith stands a little straighter, as if offended. A bullet from a pipe gun will kill you just as dead as any other kind of bullet. He sighs. But if you want to waste your money on something fancy, go ask around the habitat. You got all kinds of fancy over there.
Why not make better guns here in the pit?
You see anyone around here who'd pay 1,000 credits for a high-quality piece? You take your pipe gun, shove it in someone's face, and pull the trigger. It'll do the job just fine, assuming it doesn't explode. What do you got? A multi-barrel shotgun, an assault rifle. Old Betsy, revolving carbine. Bullpup. That means the barrel is located as far back to, well, the action and the barrel are located as far back into the gun as possible to try to lower recoil, I think. (10 to 14 damage). (9mm assault rifle. Interesting. I do have plenty of 9mm. I guess the question is, how good are my current weapons? I guess maybe I can just kill anybody out here. Aim for the head. Aim for center of mass. To 14, huh? I have 56. Got plenty of ammo for him. I think I could afford to get both rifles, honestly. Let me just go ahead and steal some of your stuff. I'm gonna take the long rifle. I'm gonna give Evans, who is a better shot, the less accurate weapon. Who knows how good these actually are. The name's Cole, says the proprietor, a dark-skinned man in his 40s spouting an optical implant and a data jack. What can I do for your friend?
What do you sell?
What the sign says, says the man, pointing at the door. Cole's gadgets.
What kind of gadgets?
Grenades are my most popular item. He produces a dented metal cylinder the size of your fist. I've got the plain old flashbang, gas, and smoke. Anything you need. They aren't as fancy as the relics, but they sure can get you out of a bind.
What do you mean by relics?
Old Earth toys, time warp gizmos, brainwave disruptors, pulsed alternators, all that science magic. Unfortunately, it's all in limited quantities. Even if you find someone who knows how the stuff works, there aren't any facilities on the ship to produce it.
Time warp?
Laymen call it a stasis field. Pointed at someone in the illusory experience we think of as time will slow to a crawl for them. Brainwave disruptors cause debilitating hallucinations. Pulse alternators will fry any electronics that aren't shielded. The ship is safe from this sort of low-level sabotage, but be careful not to set off one near your own toys.
What else have you got?
Combat tech and implants. He taps the data jack on the side of his head. The good stuff, extracted with care and rehabilitated for my more moneyed customers.
Extracted?
You know they don't make new ones, so where do you think they come from? Now take a look at this beauty. Cole dangles a small ball made of some smooth, shiny substance from a bundle of ultra-thin, translucent wires. As it slowly pivots, you see on its reverse side a much-worn barcode and brown spots that look like dried blood. Excellent pedigree, says Cole. For previous owners, no registered complaints, and still performs to factory specs. It's a basic model though, which is why I'd be willing to practically give it to you for 500 credits.
What is it?
Cole shows you the recessed lens on the other side, the pupil of the device, ringed by an impossibly blue iris. This is a third-generation alternatics module. This particular unit's not too sophisticated, but it's upgradable, like all the best tech, and it has autofocus, which comes in handy in a firefight.
Browse the wares.
+1 perception. That might not be a bad idea because I didn't invest in that at all. Now I have to get it stuck in my head, right? Welcome to the Quick Fix 3000. Please be advised that you hereby waive any and all rights and claims arising out of or relating to your augmentation and do release and discharge zero downtime and all of its affiliates, agents, attorneys, predecessors, successors, and assigns for physical or psychological injury that you may suffer as a direct result or indirect result of your participation in the aforementioned activity. Thank you for choosing a zero downtime product where your well-being comes first. Please select the device you wish to install or upgrade. Install Bionic Eye. Wait a second. How do I... Oh, do I just do it like this? I can't do it like this. Implant eye. No? The machine injects you with a long-inspired anesthetic and pauses to allow the drugs to kick in. Unfortunately, time has made the anesthesia sluggish, and the machine gets back to work faster than your nerves shut down. The stabbing pain almost instantly blossoms into agony. You'd scream if you could, but all you can do is gasp like a fish. And the pain stops all at once, as if your nervous system was simply taken offline. Abject darkness, and when you open your eyes, even seeing is a kind of pain. Every light white hot, every edge razor sharp, every detail like a needle in your retina. This is the world in excruciating clarity, in which you now live with radically enhanced vision. No upgrade kit installed. Is there anything stopping me from just installing all of these things? A data port that bridges the gap between the human mind and computer, allowing you to plug into any machine designed for direct access. A built-in cognitive enhancer will analyze your neural firing patterns and manage your neural network more directly. So I can't install anything else, huh? And why do I have this eye? Thought that was how I installed. Oh, I see. Regulators. Whiskey Jack. Oh, Camp Town, which I haven't been to. Oh, does that say ship map? Yes, tell me more about that. So, 12 areas. Okay. Oh, it did install the eye. I see. Well, I see a little bit better. Interesting. I have a mission to go to the Promised Land. Not yet. Maybe I did. Samson gives you a sharp look when you move next to him, clearly fighting the urge to tell you to piss off. So do I want Gia on my team? She's clearly planning to just steal from this guy outright. No, I feel like I can do all the stealing myself. I doubt this guy is gonna pay me just because I tell him that she's about to try to kill her, kill him, and take his stuff. It's a complex problem. I mean, obviously I have Evans, who's a gunman on my team. I'm probably gonna want some sort of melee fighter, and then like a smart sciencey computer person, and I'll be the general all-arounder, leader, and probably thief. I'm gonna warn him. Samson's face turned white and he storms out without thanking you. A good deed is its own reward. That's what I thought too. Welcome to the Promised Land, the bartender says, pouring you a fluorescent drink. He spills a few drops on the counter and they shimmer and gleam in the light, dissolving the paint and etching the metal. The first round's on the house. Been here long? Too long, if you ask me. Maybe it's time to head back to the habitat. What's it like, the habitat? Different things to different people. If you think the mission's more important than anything else, you'll feel right at home in the Protectorate. And their shenanigans won't bother you none. Hell, you might even be leading that parade. But if it's freedom you crave above all else, then you won't find a finer place than the old pit. Then why do you think of moving back? Too much freedom? The bartender grinned slyly. Truth be told, I wouldn't mind some stability, and if I have to join a club to enjoy it, so be it. Is there a way to like see? Ah, there is a way to see who to talk to. I should be doing this. Oh, Samuel and Jonas. Yes, Jonas. I know him. That can't be. He's in the back of the club. Hey, doorman. Hey, Samuel. That you, Darkness? Haven't seen you in a while, says Samuel, smiling to put you at ease. He's been with Jonas ever since he was a kid, fast on the draw and eager to prove it. Now he's Jonas's right-hand man and enforcer, more feared than liked. Too busy scraping a living, you know how it is. It's hard all over, nods Samuel. And the infighting in the habitat doesn't make it any easier.
Why are they still fighting?
Because it'll only end one way. Winner takes all. The mutineers had their chance, but they blew it. So now we have 3 deeply entrenched factions. Too weak to win, too strong to lose.
When was the last time you've been there?
8 years ago or so. Tried to make a deal with the church, but it went south fast. Jonas thought they might be the lesser of 3 evil. An ally that could shield us from the other 2, but won't try to take over. They offered us the opposite. The church would extend its domain over the pit and rule us from afar, which neither the Brotherhood nor the Protectors would ignore. I'll be back to talk to you, Jonas, after I've got some experience and done some basic quests. No need to get deeply involved in your shenanigans yet. Although I am in a little bit of trouble in that particular regard. Speaking of, I need to go talk to her and tell her to piss off. Thief. Well, she walked out of my life forever that day, and I never saw her again. How can I help you? Asked the storekeeper, putting down a ballistic vest riddled with holes.
I need some armor.
Look no further then, smiles the storekeeper. I have the finest merchandise in the pit.
Steal. Browse your wares.
A respirator. Toxic resistance. Might be worthwhile to pick up some good... Oh, thermal vision, optical resistance. Might be a good idea to pick up some good gear at some point. Now what is this particular object? Maintenance HUD. Interesting. What's this? Oh, I leveled up so I can get a new feat. So I could increase my people's power. 20% heals. And I'm also going to want to take Captain. Now I'm fully operational. What can I get you? The bartender has spotted you looking over the assortment of unlabeled plastic gallon jugs, each with its own unappealing liquid in some shade of brown. We got gut warmer, rat poison, high voltage, firewater, and absolution. Special on the rat poison right now, every 3rd round is free for as long as you're able to drink it.
Rat poison it is then.
The ship provides the basic needs of human survival: recycled air, recycled water, and end tabs. Recycled nutrients and minerals pressed into chewable tablets. They taste like cardboard, but they're free. Those who desire the finer things in life, like synthetic meat with a side of algae, have to pay. Because the forefathers disapproved of drink, the ship was never configured to provide alcohol, but the laws of supply and demand supersedes the dictates of religion, and everyone's favorite vice is widely available. Each bar has its own secret recipe. The wisest drinker prefers to leave it a secret. The bartender gives you a nod as he sets a beaten alloy mug on the bar, fills it with a black oily liquid. You take a careful sip, fighting your body's instinctive rejection of poison. Wait for the familiar warmth to spread through you. After a few moments, the world is a slightly better place.
Any work around here?
Well, since you asked, there's this fellow who owes money to just about everybody in the area. Name's Jedediah Walker, but he just goes by Jed. Balance owed is 1,200 credits, including interest. If you manage to collect, you'll get 250. How's that sound to you?
Jed Walker. Name sounds familiar.
I can tell you he runs his tab faster than he runs up. Oh, sorry, he runs his mouth faster than he runs up a tab. That's saying something. Jed claims to have traveled the ship from stem to stern, made deals with every type of merchant, fanatic, and scab known to the void. How such a world-wise entrepreneur ended up living in a rusted-out container furnished with discarded packing material is a mystery to me. But I just serve the liquor. Never claimed to be one of the big brains around here.
Where can I find him?
Ask around in Camptown. Start with the local bars.
Jedediah Walker. You have a debt to be paid.
This guy looks like he just saw that ass. Look at that face. He's like, dead ass.
I got a job for you, Darkness, says Tanner, gesturing for a drink. Interested? What kind of job? An easy one.
Tanner pulls a plastic rectangle from a compartment inside his sleeve and slides it towards you. The card is old and worn. The color is faded. But the raised print on the front is still as clear as day. It was stamped A2, that's Armory, Level 2. The holy grail of every scavenger on the ship. During the mutiny, the rebel looted every depot on the first level, but the automated defenses on the second stopped them dead, literally. The same turrets have dissuaded every scavenger since.
Is it real?
Is it real? Repeats Tanner, miming a look of disbelief. Son, if you don't have the stones for it, just say so. Don't insult me.
Every scab worth his salt has been searching for this card for decades, but you're the one who found it?
I have my ways. Tanner's smile reveals stained, uneven teeth. You see, I wasn't looking for a long-lost access card, since I'm not a fool. I was looking for Technical Officer Ulysses Colton. Tanner pauses so you can show your admiration for his savvy.
Let me guess, he had the card and you alone figured it out?
Not quite, says Tanner. I alone figured out how to find a man who changed his identity and died in obscurity nearly 100 years ago.
I have a feeling you're dying to tell me.
Tanner pulls a battered energy pistol from his belt and passes it to you. This is his sidearm. He changed his name, but he couldn't change the serial number on his gun. Once I found the serial number, the rest was easy. His granddaughter sold the pistol 20 years ago. It's an old, rust-covered energy pistol, fashioned with tape. Its plasma chamber hasn't seen any action in decades.
You don't have any energy spells you can spare, I suppose.
Ha! Tanner laughs. The cells are worth their weight in platinum these days. Nobody's even selling them anymore, so the supply must be all but dried out.
I thought someone would have figured out how to make them by now.
Figuring it out is the easy part, Tanner says dismissively. It's making them without proper materials and tools that's the hard part. Why do you think we're making firearms again? Because it's easy. Hell, they used to make them back in the Middle Ages, revolvers and whatnot. Except we use synthetic propellants.
Are you sure the card still works?
Only one way to find out. Tanner grins in an unnerving way. Go see for yourself. When you come back, we'll have a proper conversation.
I'd feel safer if I had someone to watch my back.
Take Evans. I saw him at Abe's store earlier today. Dumb bastard almost shot me.
I've already talked to him.
I'm sure you can find someone desperate enough to tag along. Interesting. So, McNeil. What's that quest about? Camptown. Except Brown. Well, I wanted to get in a fight, but I think this is a good place to stop for the first episode. There's a lot going on, storyline-wise. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.